Greetings, everyone. Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to another edition of Ranking the Albums. Today, kind of like two reasons why we're doing this today. A, I've always wanted to do a ranking of the albums of Sweet, but it's just appropriate to do it today. I wasn't planning on doing it today. I was going to do it in a couple weeks. But, we lost Sweet's terrific bass player, Steve Priest, yesterday at the age of 72, so this is kind of like a tribute to him as well as a ranking show of the Sweet catalog. So we're just going to do the 9 studio albums, the main studio albums of the main, classic lineup of the band. Not going to do like the later stuff that was done by, Brian Connolly's Sweet, or this guy's Sweet, or that, because, there was all these versions of Sweet. All the original members kind of split up and started doing their own version of Sweet, and, various live and studio releases, all that kind of stuff. I'm not going to get into all that. Just going to do the main ones, okay, from the 70s and the early 80s of the, the classic lineup, or the majority of the classic lineup as we remember it. So, you know how these go. I'm going to rank it from my least favorite to my favorite. I will say I dig all of these to an extent. I don't really think any of these are bad albums. Obviously, some are much better than others. I'm going to kind of go with, to the best of my knowledge, what I have are mostly the UK releases. All right, so some of you who are here in the US might be saying, "Hey, but I don't remember that song on that album." It's like, well, because in most cases here, they released their albums first in the UK and then in the US, and sometimes the US releases mixed in some tracks, put some singles on the albums, or whatever. So they were a little bit different, kind of like the Beatles and the Stones thing, right? It's kind of very similar. So anyway, let's get started, right? And again, so Steve Priest, their very energetic, entertaining, and talented bass player, left us yesterday at the age of 72. And, he's going to be missed. I think Sweet never kind of got the recognition they deserved. They were actually a very terrific band, made up of a bunch of real good personalities and very talented guys, good songwriters, good players that really are known as kind of like a glam band. But, in actuality, these guys were a very terrific heavy rock, almost metal band who I think influenced a chunk of bands, specifically like the new wave of British heavy metal. And I think they don't get enough credit for that. It's always like Sweet, oh yeah, the glam band. It's like, you know what? Yeah, maybe some of their very early stuff when they were having those guys write all their songs for them, that's kind of glammy, bubblegum-ish type of stuff. I get that. But, man, once they started writing their own songs and doing their own thing, they're not really a glam band. They're a pretty damn heavy band. There's some cracking, crunchy riffs on a lot of these albums, and just really good headbanging stuff, like early speed metal at times. So, very, very good band. So, all right, let's get going. So, coming in at number 9 from 1971, Funny How Coco Can Be. I'm not a huge fan of this album. It's a fun album. Here is, again, basically all their songs are being written for them. And, the intent was to make them a, big pop band, right? So, like I said, some fun stuff on here. Tom Tom Turnaround, Santa Monica Sunshine, Chop Chop, Coco, Done Me Right All Right. They even do a version of Reflection Love, the way life used to be. It's fun, but this is not the Sweet that I really like to listen to much. So that is my least favorite out of the 9 studio albums. But again, pretty cool. All right, just because it's like a kind of sometimes it's fun to kind of like see and hear a band like in their infancy. So this is like, that was like Sweet before they really kind of got their shit together and figured out, all right, we need to stop doing that and do this. And that was the best thing they ever did. So next up, a CD that I don't actually own, but I've heard a lot of times, and I actually went and ordered it last night because I'm like, how do I not have that? Identity Crisis from 1982. So that would be the last album that the majority of the classic lineup would put out together. It's actually not bad. It's an early 80s album. Yes, it sounds kind of the period and all that kind of stuff, but I think the Queen, I say Queen for a reason. I think the the Sweet kind of, all the characteristics were actually there. You got the big vocal harmonies, the multi-track backing vocals. Again, Queen were very influenced by these guys. And just all the harmonies are there. It's actually, some of their like late 70s, early 80s albums are kind of proggy. Less heavy than the mid-late 70s stuff, and more kind of like, definitely more textures, more acoustic moments, lots more keyboards and things like that. But I think Identity Crisis is pretty strong overall. That's from 1982. Coming in at number 7, and I kind of switched some of these around after I kind of was going over these, but I think I'm going to go with 1979's Cut Above the Rest. Again, this album is very similar to Identity Crisis and Water's Edge, I think, in kind of tone and flavor. Some good stuff on here. Call Me is a great tune. Play All Night. Dorian Gray, Eye Games. Mother Earth is kind of proggy, right? Good guitar work on these. Great vocals. Again, starting to see more keyboards come into play. Discophony is actually a pretty funny song. It looks like if you it's spelled Discophony. So you look at it, discophony, but then it's discophony, all right? Because obviously disco is all the rage right around this time. So iGame's another cool tune. I like this album. I think it's good. I always love the cover art there. All right, very cool. Next up, we're going to go with number 6. Right, are we at 6? Hold on. Yes, number 6. Water's Edge. I got this not long ago. Another one of those latter period Sweet albums that heard, never bought for whatever reason, but this is actually a pretty strong album. 60s Man is very cool. Tell the Truth. The title track is very good. Again, another kind of proggy song. A lot of like more kind of epic sounding stuff on here as the band moves away from that kind of like metal sound to much more kind of atmospheric and melodic. Well, they were always melodic, but you know what I'm saying, more texture type songs. At Midnight, another great song. Hot Shot Gambler, Own Up, Too Much Talking. I like it. Good stuff. Next, 1978's Levelheaded comes in at number 5. You know, of course, this had the big, huge hit, Love Is Like Oxygen, which was, again, this is the album that everybody points to as where Sweet was starting to change their sound a little bit. And Love Is Like Oxygen, again, you got those great vocal harmonies, right? Sweet had this very, very kind of trademark sound, which was unlike anybody else. And, not surprising that other bands try to kind of catch that fire, right? But here we got, Fountain. Anthem number 1, terrific song. Another kind of, again, progressive rock elements starting to creep into their music. Silverbird, Dream On, California Nights, a lot of fun. Anthem number 1, Lady of the Lake. All right, so you got Anthem number 1, Anthem number 2, Air on a Tape Loop, another cool kind of more extended kind of, with lots of good musical passages and things going on. Strong Love, I don't know, I dig this album. I dig it. I like the kind of shift in Sweet's music here and over the next couple albums. I think it's different. It's cool. It works. I like it. All right. Number 4 is going to be 1977's Off the Record. This is actually the first Sweet album I actually bought. I bought this on LP. And you know the reason why I bought it? Because that freaking cover art. I saw this in Record World in Middletown, New York. Saw this in the racks, and I was like, I don't know who Sweet are, but I love the way that looks. Because, at the time, I was into like ELO and, Kiss and all that kind of stuff, which had these great cover artwork and stuff like that. And I saw this and I was like, gotta have it. And I was like, oh, this is a pretty rockin' band, pretty catchy stuff, right? Again, another really, really good album, I think. This is a pretty consistently rocking album, start to finish. Lost Angels, great catchy hard rock tune. Windy City is terrific. Funk It Up is very, very funky. Very funky, shows they could do that sort of thing. Fever Love is great. She Give Me Lovin', Laura Lee, good kind of melodies in that. Live for Today. Great stuff. And if you get like all these reissues, these remasters, they put like tons of bonus tracks on here, which is very cool. You got Hard Times on here, which is a killer song. So I like that one a lot. That comes in at number 4. Coming in at number 3, I almost flip-flop number 3 and number 4. I like them both kind of equally, but I'm going to give it up to Give Us a Wink from 1976. Again, another very popular Sweet album. Some great tunes on here, some notable Sweet songs on here, like Action. Everybody wants a piece of the action. The Lies in Your Eyes, Cockroach, 4th of July, Keep It In, White Mice, Healer. Terrific stuff. Maybe a little short, the album. But and I definitely don't think it's as strong as the other two that are coming up, but it's definitely good and very cool album art. You got great guitar riffs, very, very good drumming, really good bass playing. That's the one thing about this band is you hear everybody equally. Okay, this is not like, a lot of bands, classic band stuff. I can never hear the bass player. I can never hear enough drums. Or I hear too much drums, not enough guitar. It's all guitar. Where's everything else? I think with Sweet, you heard everybody. They were all very, very capable, great musicians. All right, and Mr. Priest, who we're kind of tributing today here with this. Not only was he a cool character and he was a wild man on stage. I mean, he was a very, very good melodic bass player. See, even Tyler agrees. All right, so coming in at number 2, they released 2 albums in 1974, both great. I was like, do I do this one? These can flip-flop at any time, but I'm going to go number 2 with Sweet Fanny Adams. Sweet F.A., never gonna take it. Just a great album. Set Me Free. Heartbreak Today. No, You Don't. Rebel Rouser. Peppermint Twist. That's kind of a silly song, but like I said, Sweet F.A., Sweet F.A. stands for Fanny Adams. A killer song. Man, that is a heavy metal song. I mean, it's like, God, if that song didn't influence so many bands on the new wave of British heavy metal, I don't know who did, because, man, Restless, another killer song. Into the Night and AC/DC. I know a lot of people are into the AC/DC song. I'm not that high. That's written by those 2 guys who shall be nameless, who were writing all their songs for him early in the career. But and then this reissue's got some really cool bonus tracks, because again, these guys released a ton of singles and B-sides that were not on some of the albums, right? So the reissues kind of put all that stuff back in. You got Blockbuster, which is heavy as hell. All right, Need a Lot, Hellraiser. Great song. Ballroom Blitz is on here. Rock and Roll Disgrace. So a lot of those kind of singles and things like that, for me. So makes these albums even better, right? All right, number 1 today, I'm going to go with Desolation Boulevard from 1974. Again, this is usually regarded as the top Sweet album by most folks, and I really wouldn't argue that, because obviously it's on top for me today, although I like Sweet Fanny Adams a lot too. But this has got great songs like Solid Gold Brass, The 16s, Turn It Down, Medusa is so freaking heavy, Lady Starlight, another great song, Man with the Golden Arm, the incomparable Fox on the Run. I know there's both a US version of a single version and the original version. Okay, they're both great, but I think the UK version is better. Breakdown, another great heavy song. And, of course, My Generation, their cover of the Who classic. Other stuff, the bonus tracks from the period that are included on here. Teenage Rampage, Own Up, Take a Look at Yourself, Burn Up the Flame, Someone Else Will, I Want to Be Committed, Misdemeanor, all sorts of fun stuff here. A great album, a very hard rocking album. It's just amazing how, like the early Sweet stuff, Little Willie and all that kind of stuff, the public had a perception of who they were. And they're like, oh, cool, this fun kind of pop band, whatever. It's like, yay, all the kids like them. All of a sudden, then they come out with this stuff. And it's like, holy crap, that's a totally different band, right? No, it's the same guys. They're just writing their own material. And they're like, you know what? We don't want anybody writing this kiddie pop stuff anymore. We want to play some serious rock and roll. And they absolutely did. So there you have my ranking of the catalog. Desolation Boulevard coming at number 1. Number 2, Sweet Fanny Adams. Number 3, Give Us a Wink. Number 4, Off the Record. Number 5, Levelheaded. Number 6, Water's Edge. Number 7, Cut Above the Rest. Number 8, Identity Crisis. And number 9, Funny How Coco Can Be. There you have it. Feel free to rank the Sweet catalog in your order preference in the comments below. Remember, there's no right or wrong answer here. We all love the albums we love. We all hear these differently, but more importantly, as a tribute to the fallen Steve Priest, let's all go out and listen to some Sweet today. I think that's a great use of our time to honor another legend who has left us. And also make sure you visit us on the web at www.seatranquility.org. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, of course, we're here on YouTube all the damn time. Coming up tomorrow morning, 2005, favorite album of the year, as well as Martin Popoff coming back on the show. We are going to rank the solo albums, the studio albums from none other than Mr. Ozzy Osbourne. So that's coming up tomorrow, so you don't want to miss that. So stay tuned for all that, and we'll see you then. Take care. Bye-bye.